I have a house concert tomorrow night with a band. House concert is where you basically show up at somebody's house and just start playing music. It's like turning a house into a venue, but it's all fairly unofficial, right? It's done in the auspices of a party. So you're not dealing with cover charges and things like that. We have a guest. Adam Shartoff is here.
I'm being plagued by technical problems.
Adam Shartoff is a radio personality in upstate New York along the Hudson at WKZE.
Yeah, you got it.
Did I actually get that right? And
Actually.
also has his own podcast called Film Wax Studio, which
Radio.
he's been doing for a number of years. Film Wax Radio.
That's right.
Which he's been doing for a number of years, which in which he interviews directors of films and talks about all things film. And we are getting together to talk about two of Lynne Ramsay's films, Ratcatcher and Morvern Callar, which they're both from the early thousands, the aughts. I think even Ratcatcher is prior to the aughts.
1999. Ratcatcher's 99, I think.
It's her first film.
Her first feature.
Yeah, first feature.
Yeah, yes, you're right.
I mean,
how are you doing, Adam?
I'm good. I'm so excited. I was really looking forward to this. I've become a fan.
Cool.
I'm
a fan of your podcast.
Funny, not funny.
No, it's not. Generally not funny. I guess we're trying to tell people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I appreciate it. It took me like a few months to realize, I see what the titles means.
If you were waiting, still waiting for the funny.
No.
But, so I try to follow your podcast as much as I can. Mm-hmm. There was a while when I was obsessed with it and I listened every week. And I'm sorry, I'm not completely obsessed right now. I'm not catching every single one, partially because I have to edit and produce these podcasts.
I know we're friends for a long time. I have a sense of how busy you are.
And I have become obsessed. I'm listening to an audiobook of East of Eden by John Steinbeck, which I had never read. And that's a monster book. But I have listened to a number of the interviews. A great interview that you did with Kenneth Branagh, a great interview you did with Werner Herzog. You've talked to some pretty amazing people.
And Lynne Ramsay, it turns out.
And Lynne Ramsay. And you sent me the clip itself. That was part of a larger episode.
No, I think I thought I sent you a link to the whole episode.
I might have missed that.
It's like, it was only about, a clip I think of as a couple of minutes, but this was like a 20-minute interview or 25, something like that. It's on one of those.
Was 20 minutes.
Yeah. So I know some of my podcasts obviously run long. It runs to the length that I have somebody. And if they're there for an hour, I would love to have her back. Because we barely scraped the surface.
It sounded like you were at an event. It sounded like you were talking to her somewhere.
Yeah, that was a case where I took my equipment to a publicist's office, and we did it in an office. And I had somebody with me, a filmmaker, who was assisting. I found that if, as much as possible, when I would do them IRL, the episodes or the show rather, that if I brought someone with me, I looked a lot more professional. So it didn't matter what they did. They could just sit there and observe, but I looked better because I had a team,
Right.
Now I don't do it. Now we don't have to be there in person anymore. I prefer not to in many ways, but that's not quite true. But it's easier, and I can't really do it. If I wanted to continue this in person, I couldn't do it. It'd have to be much more hyper local.
Yeah. So so you were traveling a lot more back then
Yeah, but it was like very local travel, hopping on subways.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, New York. You were in New York City, of course. Yeah. So there lots of things happen. You didn't have to fly to France, to talk to these people.
I would have.
Or Utah.
I totally would have. I'll still fly to France if somebody wants to pay for the ticket. But the way it would work for the first bunch of years that I've been doing the podcast now. I'm on 16 years, going on
Oh my
six. It's
gosh.
going on. It's incredible. But when for the first bunch of well, it started in a little studio, but then I started having when I had portable equipment. I realized I am untethered, and just go. And because New York City, as you know, everybody goes through this New York City. It's like
Yeah.
like that's where distribution companies are. A lot of the non-Hollywood film industry is in New York City, and most of the I don't really do Hollywood. I do Indiewood. So
That is very true. It's funny because we when we were trying to talk about what films to watch, they were films I had never that I had never seen. I was unaware of Lynne Ramsay. I was unaware, a lot of you do have a lot of directors that I have not heard of. And then I think what's great about your podcast, which is filmwaxradio.com, .com.
Well, that's not in
Is
the
that
title, but that's how you find it. Yeah.
okay?
I mean, you can find it
Filmwax,
there
just
and on any of the apps. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just yeah.
Yeah.
You
It's
also have a
just,
website people can browse but yeah, if you go to Apple Podcasts or whatever you're
yeah.
using for podcasts, you can find Filmwax Radio.
Right.
With a little picture that I drew of you for the logo.
It changes from time to time. Like as soon as your obsession ended, your picture went away. But and please, Lionel, please shut up.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. You can mute me now.
The droning.
I want to talk about Lynne Ramsay. I want to talk about these films.
All right, let's jump into it.
Yeah, let's fine. Thank you. Because Jim and I,
So why did you recommend these two films?
Okay. Well, I've been listening to some. I was aware of some of the other films you were talking about, and by the way, without exception, great choices. And I just thought, let's go female. I just thought there are so many fewer female filmmakers, and also just because, quite honestly, even though she's only made 5 now features as of a couple months ago, her 5th feature came out, unless I'm mistaken.
Wow.
She is one of my favorites. I mean,
why?
I hope you saw what I saw watching, or felt something that I felt watching Ratcatcher and Morvern Callar, that she is just so incredible a filmmaker. Just she's such a natural storyteller. I don't know. I was a little offbeat, but I think a filmmaker that I would like your audience to know. I also felt like I wanted to be an ambassador for her films. Yeah.
Yeah, and I found them. Go ahead, Lionel.
Yeah, I watched them. I'm not going to lie, it was a bit of a trial for me.
Why is that?
I think they're really challenging and I don't want to use the word aggressive, but she's not cutting you any slack at all.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking, and the stories are they're grim. Not grim. That's the wrong word. They're not grim.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's grim. No, I think there is some grimness to the stories. Yeah,
but to a certain degree, that's too cheap a word. I don't know. I think maybe it's just me. But I was constantly on the edge of my seat that something was going to go horribly wrong. Like really, and they do. Sometimes they do go horribly wrong. But many times the situations just sort of peter out. Like you're constantly expecting certain things to happen, and they don't. But it's unsettling. They're not grim, unsettling. The films are really, really unsettling. I actually found
both of these, absolutely, yeah.
Actually, I found Morvern Callar a lot easier to deal with.
Oh, not funny, because I found Ratcatcher a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I Lionel, 100%. And I think, first of all, I probably see a lot more consistently darker stories, but now I can't compare myself to you because I don't know what you watch, but I've seen a lot of very tough films over the years. I don't. It's not like I get a joy from them, but when it works, the unsettling thing is kind of what I'm looking for, because I feel like that's what art sometimes should do. Like it should make you unsettled, not in a manipulative way, but if it's doing its job, it's telling a story honestly, albeit sometimes brutally, and it makes you feel unsettled. And I've walked out of movies sometimes being really angry, like I felt really fucked up. Pardon my, I don't know if I'm.
You can curse as much.
Yeah, we can. I have a podcast, but and then I realized, oh yeah, that's right. That sometimes that's what art's supposed to do.
Well, let me just one key thing is that after I was done watching them, I felt it was time well spent.
Oh, good.
But yeah, it was some rough sledding there.
Yeah, I agree.
And films about hurt, where animals get hurt and where people get hurt and stuff like that are generate a lot of anxiety in me.
Okay.
Morvern Callar to me made more sense, and it was a different thing. Morvern Callar it fit for me into a much more long tradition in English literature of the woman who takes advantage of the situation, who just moves forward and appears, and her actions are sort of amoral, but fundamentally you don't understand what she's going through. I mean, she's very opaque, Morvern Callar. You have no idea. There's no revelation about what's in her head at all.
Right.
I know we're sort of jumping into the plot of one of the films, but I found that sort of, I've heard that in like folk songs, and I've read that in stories,
like murder ballads, you mean?
Yeah, that kind of thing, or Cannadio by I forget the guy's name right now, but the woman who's in an extreme situation and just acts. You come home and you find that, and you just you act. So I actually found Morvern Callar better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, I think that this filmmaker doesn't give very much to the audience in that way,
And that's a good thing. Yeah, she's not cutting you any breaks.
She really makes you work for whatever you're going to write at with her, with Morvern, the character, and I mean, you're calling her kind of like saying she's taking. What were your words about, like, the situation? I mean, I think the setup is okay because it's in the description of the film where she, her boyfriend commits suicide, and he wrote a novel, and he asked as his dying request, or his, for her to get it published. And then she puts her name on it, and it gets published, and I don't know if it's like I don't trust that it's just like taking advantage of the situation. I think she's deeply disturbed person who.
I didn't mean take advantage of like changing the thing, but what I mean is that she acts. She doesn't. What's the other path she could go down? She could tell everybody. She could call the police, and then she has to deal with that for the rest of and all that kind of stuff. But she chooses a different path, and she acts in a decisive manner. Which is strange because she never, you have no
idea where this is, why she chose that. Yeah.
Right. And why she put her name on the manuscript. Yeah. Right. Because she had I don't know that she had any expectation. This is going to be a hit. Right. There was it wasn't like, I'm going to steal all the money he would have gotten. We have no idea what she's thinking.
She could identify we don't even know if she ever read it.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem, she seems mostly interested in getting high and dancing and having fun.
Yeah, I guess. What's nice about talking about this with you guys is I have to start to kind of think on my own, like what compelled me. Like, I don't come out of it thinking, oh, she's great, because, she's not.
But you have to admire her. You have to respect her a little bit. She's left with a horrible situation.
But she created one too.
Well, how so?
She created a horrible situation. Well, she disposed of the guy's body.
It's going to happen anyway.
Oh yeah. Like, she's not a murderer. Like,
no.
And that's funny because it frames her in a way you think maybe she's kind of homicidal or psychopathic or
Well,
a sociopath or something.
You know how she disposed of the body, so there's no.
That's true.
There she is. No, there is an element of that. She has to be mentally ill. In my mind, she's mentally ill.
She is dispassionate. Yeah, but that's true.
Sociopathic.
And it's played brilliantly, of course, by Samantha Morton, who's one of my favorites.
Oh, she's fantastic.
And I think even in the interview when you're talking to Lynne Ramsay, you talked about, I guess right after that she did Minority Report,
right?
And she made that whole film. I mean, Tom Cruise, in my mind, was not the star.
He was functional, like Tom Cruise always is, right? And he's good at that. And he was perfect for that. I think it's one of his best films, if not his best. I don't know.
Yeah, it's challenging, and
I love that movie
and deep.
And you're right, she is just so great in
she outshines him. Yeah,
it's amazing. So good. It's such like I was wondering if maybe Spielberg, if he might have been on the Cannes jury with Lynne Ramsay, or her film was there and he saw it. Maybe,
right?
And then he cast Samantha Morton, or like based on that connection. It's a guess.
I believe
I have no idea. I have to get Lynne Ramsay back.
But I love that interview. By the way, that was delightful. You two just were like hanging out and talking and joking around. It was really great. I had to play back her audio a few times because it's a pretty thick Glasgow accent.
Yeah, Glaswegian, right? Isn't that what it's
Glaswegian? Yeah,
yeah.
I know that's true. And what did you guys just based? Don't forget what you were going to say, but I want to just ask you: did you use subtitles? Were you able to in your?
Oh yeah, you mean in both of these films? I used subtitles just to be sure. And Ratcatcher, I don't remember it being hard, but it was helpful to read, so I didn't miss any lines. It seems like every line is very important, and you don't want to miss it, especially by what is his name, Billy? The other
Flanagan.
He's sort of
Billy the Kid, or
no Flanagan? Is it Billy Flanagan?
Tommy Flanagan.
Tommy Flanagan.
Mm-hmm.
The
he was hard to understand.
Older brother in the fatherish kind of role. Yeah, that was an intense role, an intense part.
Yeah,
and I mean I don't want to jump into Ratcatcher yet, but. Samantha Morton's, the way she played Morvern Callar it did make you wonder if it I guess it had to be kind of a mentality or the way she was raised, or mental illness, or she doesn't react. She's like, she kind of takes advantage of what comes, takes the advance on the next book, and then ends up at a club. Yeah, it's a wild journey, and I think we're meant to scratch our heads. Do you think that Lynne Ramsay is kind of eliciting that response of what kind of person does this?
It seems like how could you not consider that? But I don't know.
Well, I didn't know what to, in some ways you watch something like that and you don't know what to make it, especially watching it alone. It's the first time I've really had a chance to talk about it. And I didn't know kind of what we were meant to think, or if we were meant to think something about her.
For sure you were meant to.
Yeah.
I think so. But Lionel mentioned that they were, what was the word you ultimately landed on? Not grim, but
unsettling.
Unsettling. It's a good word. Yeah.
And just to tell you, I don't think she's a sociopath.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's just a different person who's presented with a really crappy situation. I mean, just think about if you came home and somebody you love had committed suicide.
You're right. I'd probably chop them up in the bathtub. You're right.
Well,
what? I don't understand what you're saying.
You'd wait a few days, though. You'd wait a few days and go out clubbing.
Well, think about it. They're going to chop them up and put them in the ground anyway. Are you going to put up with all this nonsense?
I don't know, Lionel.
I think you kind of have to by law, but
I know. Yeah, but I think that's the whole point. I think that's really the point of the whole thing, is that she's doing these things and you're like, oh, but
yeah,
I don't think it's sociopathic. I don't think we know what, if she was a sociopath, she would just go. She has a very loving, perfectly great relationship with Lana. You can tell she really loves. I thought that was a great. I thought Lana was a fabulous actress too.
Yeah,
and their time together, they are having a great
Kathleen
time.
McDermott, who is a working actor,
fabulous. She was totally fabulous too, and their relationship was perfectly. They were having fun. They were laughing. They're doing all that kinds of stuff, and she asked her to go out again, and stuff like that. So, again, Lynn's not. She's not handing you any answers.
Right. When you mention that the second trip that was that Morvern offers
right
to Lana.
Yeah.
She says no, I don't want to go. This is where I live. I'm
it's
this
the same.
Is my home.
It's the same everywhere.
I
like that line a lot. It's the same everywhere.
Wherever you go, it's always the same.
Right. You can't run away from.
They had gotten lost. I mean, and Lana lost all trust in Morvern, when they're kind of dragging the suitcase through the Badlands of Spain. You realize that, Lana is a little more normal, of course.
Well, who knows?
Lana would have called the officials or the authorities,
but who knows? I mean, Morvern Callar, to her coworkers and to everybody else who knows her, they never would have guessed any of this. There's no indication in the film that other people were afraid of her or were put off by her or anything like that. And I think that's kind of like
that's a good sociopath, though.
but I just okay.
Anyway,
you say sociopath. I didn't get that vibe at all. But anyway, I'm sort of flogging this horse a bit.
No, it's funny, just synchronicity. But East of Eden by Steinbeck, there's a lot about sociopaths, and there isn't really even that word yet. It's like people who are wired funny, and they do stuff that's a little inexplicable, and it's not like normal people. Now, it's an interesting theme. That does not really exist in Ratcatcher, if I'm going to pivot here. Is that a good pivot? I mean, it's not the same kind of film at all. There's a deep tragedy at the beginning of Ratcatcher that you just get the sense that the main character, who's a young, kind of a boy around 10, 11, can never get over. It's about the slums of, it's Glasgow, right? It's the slums of Glasgow. Before
71,
any kind of
72,
any kind of change might have come in to make it safe at all.
Yeah, it takes place in the 70s, right during a garbage strike.
Yeah,
and there's like a stream that runs through the town that is just dangerous. And kids fall in and they drown. So there's this deep sense of neglect for that entire population that runs through that film, and how the families try to survive, and how they try to survive the tragedies that happen there, through the eyes of a young boy who is trying to have fun and negotiate his way with girls, and trying to figure out what it would be like to grow up. So there's this wonderful innocence about him, and he's not downtrodden yet, except for this tragedy that happens in the beginning, which has this kind of gravitational tug on him the whole time.
Does it?
You see it happening. I think it does. Yeah.
Because I didn't perceive anything where he seems to. I think there's a lot more in common between the two movies than appears at first. And to me, I thought there was more than a little Morvern Callar in that kid, because he doesn't seem to be terribly ripped up about the whole thing.
Maybe I'm projecting onto him. I mean, it seems to me that if you're playing with your best friend falls in the stream, and then did he push him?
Yeah, he pushed him.
I don't think we don't know if he had something more sinister in mind, but I mean, I think Lionel's come upon a really interesting idea, because he does hide it.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody knows he did it, and he doesn't admit to it. So, like Morvern, he's hiding a death that he is. Well, she didn't kill her boyfriend, but she hid the death,
Right.
or
Right.
facts
Right.
about the death, and as does.
He doesn't own up, but it does seem to me that by the
Really?
end of the film, he's trying to deal with the guilt.
Right.
He does feel guilt. I think, and
Okay.
and I
Right.
mean,
Good observation.
and I'm trying to, the names of the characters are.
I love Kenny. Kenny made me laugh so hard. Kenny was the one with the mouse, Snowball.
Yes.
Oh, he
yeah.
was his face was incredibly funny. I don't know if Lynne meant that at all, but that kid cracked me up so hard. I don't think it was intentional, but yeah. What?
He's the one fishing. He's trying to catch a fish.
Trying to catch the fish, and he ties the balloon around the tail of the I don't know, man. It's a crazy anarchic world. And the funny thing is that there's these other things that I was completely convinced. So what was the name of the kid who's the name of the first name of the kid who's the main character? I forget now.
Is it James?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's James.
Okay.
James.
So is that James's father? You said something about an older brother.
I thought it was his father, but
is it? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I just thought
that was my impression.
I thought the father was going to. I thought there was going to be like violence, because it certainly felt.
Well, there is violence if you look at it, emotional.
Oh yeah, but not physical.
Oh yeah,
right.
The father never lays a finger on him.
No, he's just a troubled guy who loves his family as well as just. My guess is any of his behavior, his bad behavior, is just because he's unhappy.
Oh yeah,
or doesn't like himself, but you have a sense that his instincts are to take care of his family, and he's home, doing what he can, and what Jim described earlier is really horrible conditions, and where all the odds are stacked against you, right?
Yeah, impossible to dig yourself out.
Yeah, I mean that they are hoping for a reassignment of a new place.
Yeah, that throughout there's this sense that they are going to be taken from there and put into brought to a better home.
Yeah, so
something more sanitary where walls won't suddenly fall down.
Or there aren't hundreds of bags of trash piled up.
Yeah, and rats. Yeah,
and rats.
Everywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty grim. I mean, I think it's there are aspects that are grim, and I just I feel like sometimes when I watch films like that, and I know I don't stand with the majority of people, but that there is a payoff, and I get to wake up the next day feeling, hey, I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah. Things could be worse.
But there were actually in Ratcatcher, there were moments of humor. There were really funny parts in it. And the thing where the father saves the kid from drowning, comes home, gets completely drunk, zonks on the bed, and then James comes along and strews like Cheerios all over his face, and then the council reps show.
That's right.
I mean, it was fun. There's some glimpses of humor. There was no humor in Morvern Callar at all.
Really? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Also, there was that whimsical kind of moment of where the mouse that we described earlier that was being thrown around by the gang gets balloon tied, and he goes off to
the dream sequence.
It's magical realism or whatever, but it's like where the mouse goes off to the moon.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful. It's so unexpected and
very unexpected.
Like, where did this come from in such a otherwise harshly realistic story? This is like realistic storytelling, right?
Right.
It's not. This is kind of reflects how some people had to live.
So where does Lynne Ramsay sit? Like what is the milieu from which she comes, and where does she sit? I know nothing, but a friend of mine who knows a lot about film said, oh well, there's the kitchen sink films, and the Brits have this whole thing, Train Spotting and The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, and all this thing. Where does she fit, if at all?
I would say a little later, much later than those films, because those were films that came out of mostly the 60s, maybe tail end of the 50s into the 60s. This Kitchen Sink, they were based in England mostly, but there is, of course, there's almost no filmmakers in Scotland. I mean, there weren't that many. I shouldn't say that. There were certainly, she apparently was only the second woman to ever make a film in Scotland. So, and the first one was some poet who made one film or something before her. Anyway, so she's become, one of the leading,
a trailblazer. Yeah.
Yeah. And but her contemporaries could be kind of more the second generation of Kitchen Sink, which would include like Mike Leigh, which would include Ken Loach, who's also tells very sometimes grim stories. I mean, again, these are filmmakers I love. I never got Ken Loach on my podcast, unfortunately, but I got Mike Leigh on a few times.
What's the famous movie with the guys walking around going, Maggie? Do you know that thing where some guy's just walking in the middle of the street yelling Maggie at the top of his lungs? Somebody showed that to me. It's one of those films. But I remember Trainspotting being a film, and that's a very sort of. I never saw the film itself, but it sounded like it was
you've
kind
never
of
seen it.
Oh, no. That's an amazing film.
It's kind of in the same pocket a little bit, or is it not?
That has a lot of humor.
Yeah,
and it's really, really dark.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a tough watch, but it's also got a lot of humor and it's violent, and but it is so great. And Danny Boyle, who is the Scottish filmmaker, right? He directed Sun, and then a bunch of others. I think Lynne's cinematographer worked with Danny Boyle on a bunch of films as well.
Let me wait. I need to look him up a second, because I think he did a film, Lionel, that you really liked.
Sunrise?
Oh, he did Sunshine, which nobody's watched. That I think is really just a very weird film. But he also did the 28 Days, 28 Months.
Right, 28 Days Later, 28 Years Later, something like that, right?
Slumdog
a couple
Millionaire.
Of sequels. But this guy, I really want to get him on my podcast. The cinematographer, Alvin Kuchler, I think I got his name right. He is a German cinematographer, but has worked with Lynne Ramsay and Danny Boyle. And would love to talk to him about these films. I mean, he shot both Ratcatcher and Morvern Callar, and I just think they're incredibly beautiful the way they're shot.
They are. The framing of the shots is you know what it is? It's striking, and I keep coming back to the phone booth scene in Morvern Callar, where she's at the train station in a phone booth, and you don't know if you don't know what she's doing, or you can't figure out the sequence of things in her mind. I forget who she's calling. She has to explain that's right, the publisher, and she has to explain how her name is spelled and how to pronounce it.
Well, there's a moment also with somebody works at the hotel where the guy brings up their bags up to the room, and he just can't hear what her name is. Like he doesn't. He's Spanish, or he's or he's working at the hotel when they go to Spain on this, vacation, and he just butchers her name over and over. And it's a moment of humor.
So
true.
What other film? So if you have these two films, what other film immediately pops to mind that's not a Lynne Ramsay film? Like, what do you see as adjacent to what she's doing? If anything, maybe there isn't any film.
Okay. Well, I don't know. In Scotland, there even is another great filmmaker who also just happened to be on my podcast some years ago, named not Danny Boyle, sorry, but wrote down. I thought I wrote down everything here. Pretty sure I did. This is great podcast content here.
It doesn't get any better than this is cinema verite. This is podcast verite.
Thank God we're not live, because
we're not actually.
We're not.
Ordinarily, we might be narrowcasting live, but
I see. Today. I see. Bill Forsyth. I'm sorry, Bill Forsyth, who made Local Hero, one of my favorites.
Oh,
Local Hero.
Oh, that's great.
Gregory's Girl. And then I forget the name of the filmmaker who made Cow. These are also, I'm looking at England, I'm looking at Ireland, because they're all, and Wales, because they're all kind of, even though they are sometimes at very strong odds with each other, they're also have coexisted in a way, with certain issues socially. They share certain similarities in terms of the caste system, or how, people pass their time, family situations, there are similarities. And I think those filmmakers are a little closer to what Lynne Ramsay was doing. And there are some really great films. There's others, that are just much more obscure, because Lynne Ramsay, based on her success, became a world filmmaker. Meaning her films get into Cannes, into Toronto, into Berlin, Sundance or whatever, and then they get distribution on a international distribution. And then you have a lot of filmmakers that never succeed on that level, or make it on that level, and they are maybe a bigger deal locally, like in their country, or European or something, but they don't really make it to the States, which is a big deal for a lot of filmmakers, right? You make it in the USA, then you get to make a film in Hollywood, which is what happened, of course, to Lynne too.
Did Lynne give any indication? Did she tip her hand at all as to what motivated her to make these films? Like what she was trying to get across? Yeah. Are they autobiographical, or are they exposés, or?
I think some of this is, happened in her world growing up. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think she had a steadier background or family life, but I'm not 100% positive, but from what I gleaned. And, but I also think that she became, her first goal, or first, career path was being a photographer. So she had an eye, and then she ended up getting, influenced by some filmmaker who suggested she do that, or she just was influenced and became a filmmaker. But I think she was very strongly a visual person and wanted to tell visual stories. And I don't know why she chose the 70s, this particular story in this particular time around this garbage strike with this, in the Glasgow ghetto, essentially. I don't know, but I would love to have her back for a longer conversation.
Was Ratcatcher a book, or just purely a movie? You've told me.
I think she wrote it.
She wrote the whole thing, so there wasn't a book.
Morvern Callar was a book.
That was a book. Yeah.
But I think she wrote this.
No, I think she wrote Ratcatcher.
Yeah,
and I keep trying to think of this, because we're thinking about
3D. Ooh. Yes, exactly.
We were talking about Ozu's films and the way
I listened to that episode.
And that was what I've noticed, though. I think with Ramsay is that she's alternating kind of very busy shots in which kind of hatched lines. There's like a busyness in the slums of Glasgow, and then contrasted with that field, right? So there's the boy must get on a train and travel a great distance, and then walk across this field of, I don't know, rye or something, wheat, to these houses that are being built, which he's obsessed with. And they're clean and maybe more spacious, and just a nicer place to
fewer rats,
have a family, and no rats. Yeah. And I know what most people talk about when they talk about Ratcatcher is the ending, which people see as controversial, and you can see it two different ways. How do you see it, Adam? The ending of Ratcatcher.
I mean, how do I see it? I see it as ambiguous. I don't know if we're in a dream sequence or not. Like I'm hoping it's a dream sequence, of course, because I don't want James to die or drown.
Oh, you're
well, the last shot, right? Isn't he underwater?
Right.
he
He
drop
is,
dives
yeah.
into or jumps or falls into the. But you know
And
that then and the last, but I distrust the idea that the family's actually been reassigned to this house because that's just seems crazy unlikely like that he goes out. Okay, so for people watching or listening that at one point he falls asleep. Was it a train or a bus? But he falls asleep, wakes up
yeah,
at the last stop and starts walking around, and he comes upon this new housing developing built, like you I think said, and there's a wheat field he walks through, and it looks like paradise to this kid because it's the complete polar opposite to the slum he lives in.
that
So
he's all
he
he's
has this
known, yeah.
fantasy assumes that he wants his family to live there and live happily ever after. So when it comes up at the end that they're all walking there with their belongings,
Carrying their
I just
furniture.
distrust, like, that makes no sense. But
Right.
it's a beautiful, but again, she's forcing you into this sad, grim kind of thing because you figure it's a fantasy he has, and then he's in the water, and I just hope that's a continuation of some fantasy or some,
That he's saved, that he's pulled from the water
or
somehow.
that he's never
Yeah.
in the water in the first place. Maybe it's just a dream or something. Who knows?
Mm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not certain it's all realistic.
And what is it
Or
with is like bathing together in a bath in a really small bathtub, like a Scottish national tradition?
if you're
That was a
lucky,
really yeah.
if you're lucky.
I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some real, it's
The,
like, were you thinking, how did they get permission? Couldn't
Yeah,
be
well,
made today.
I
Couldn't be made
think
that
I
could
today.
not be made.
read something about that where she took some guff from people saying this
Right.
is, and
Even though it was
yeah,
actually, in many ways, it was innocent. I mean, except for the fact there was some underage child in a tub with probably I'm guessing she's probably of age, but it's a yeah, questionable.
yeah. I
I
don't
don't know. I
remember
mean,
how she
remember,
answered it.
they're not as uptight everywhere else outside of the U.S.
Yeah,
Anywhere else you can think of, they're less uptight about the naked body. They just
Yeah.
are.
I'm trying to
Any
remember
French film.
something that I thought because I remember having an inspiration about Ratcatcher. My inspiration about Morvern Callar is L'Étranger by Camus. That's what it really reminded me of, which is, yesterday my mother died, or was it the day before? I can't remember right now. The famous opening lines of Camus' The Stranger. And it really reminded me of L'Étranger. You have this inscrutable main character who really can't, he has no explanation for the things that he does, and it takes place, I think, in Algeria. So
Hmm.
you have that same kind of climate, and he's walking along the beach, and all that kind of stuff. And there's something about Ratcatcher, about the boy drowning in the beginning. It triggered something in me, but I can't remember right now. But I think there's a deeper story there. I think there's a sort of a tradition there. It'll come to me as soon as we turn off the microphones. I'm absolutely positive of it. But at the same time, though, in Ratcatcher, it's not uniformly grim.
No.
There's plenty of times of happiness, of dancing to Tom Jones, and
Oh, that was a great scene.
and having fun and watching stupid TV shows. The interesting thing is there's actually no school that I can tell. Like nobody's going to school. Um, or it was like that didn't enter the picture at all, which I thought was
Right.
fascinating. Um, but
You know what I really liked though was that there was a really good sense that the characters were good people in an impossible
yeah,
situation. It wasn't what Americans might do, which is they're living in a ghetto, they're living in a slum, and they turn to violence and crime. There's there is some there's some
The
well,
unfor-
there's some fights, but
the unfortunate thing, and one could have their conspiracy theories of why the pub is like the only outlet for
yeah.
these people, right? I mean, a smart government that wants to suppress its citizenry would put a pub on every corner, right? Just keep them drunk,
Hmm.
keep them inebriated, and
works for me.
okay. So, but it's like, um, that's how they handle their stress, their unhappiness, instead of like in a very proactive way, in a healthier way, like therapy or talking to people and
Yeah.
expressing their feelings and their
And
frustrations, and then like being, so when you're drunk, you're going to be more volatile potentially, and I think that's the downside of that.
well, yeah, that's true.
But
There's
people have
that
to cope with
gang.
that are you coming home tonight? And the guy would come home and stumble home at 3 in the morning. Well, not that late because the pubs close at 10 or 11 or something. But
Yeah.
it's like
And all the money goes there.
a lot of the money goes there.
Yeah. And I had forgotten about the gang. I mean, the gang of teenagers was sort of,
In
there was a sense
Ratcatcher.
that like as soon as James got a little older, he was either going to be one of the gang or one of the gang's victims. But even his father was the victim of the gang. Um,
Hmm.
and they were just a bunch of punk kids. They weren't much older than James.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the end, I mean, sounds like it was worthwhile watching those
Oh
two.
yeah.
Yes.
No,
I'm
it was not
grateful.
a rollicking good time, but it
No,
was
they're
definitely
not good
thought
feel good
provoking and
movies,
beautiful. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
to say the least. That's the understatement of the year. But they are. But I think that they feed this. I do believe they feed the soul, and you watch movies like that, and I think they're not just after what's the word doom, and gloom. I mean, I think there's more meat to those films and this particular filmmaker, and those are the ones that I don't know. I love those films so much. And those early Mike. I mean, I love all Mike Lee films, but if you watch the early ones, High Hopes, and then he made comedies, but they were also s- dark, and the characters would there would always be one. I mean, maybe Mike Lee is another episode sometime, but
Yeah.
High Hopes and there's some really great ones. And I mean, I choose the early ones because they're kind of the grittiest, and I kind of like the grittiness of these films.
Who did Secrets and Lies? I saw
Mike
that.
Lee.
Yeah, it's a
Mike
late
Lee.
That was
one of
Mike
his,
Lee.
those, right?
Not,
That's
I would say mid career because that was probably like 25 years ago.
yeah, that's an interesting film. It's an interesting film. I don't think it's a great film, but it's an
Oh,
interesting
I do.
film.
Yeah.
Um,
Go to Filmwax Radio to hear. The problem is my podcast. I have to figure it out with the guy who helps me with the web stuff. Is that they at some point they expire on the website, and I haven't figured out how in the back. This is great for your listeners as well,
yeah,
but maybe
Mhm.
somebody could reach out to me, and like well, I'll just talk to my guy, but how to what's the right term?
podcast therapy radio.
Well,
Yeah, but
let's.
to make them live again like these episodes because I was at one point. I guess I turned them off because I was going to try to figure out Patreon how to make it work. Given up, but to some degree. But I did talk to Mike Lee several times, and because he's one of my favorite filmmakers.
It'd be worthwhile to try. I'd love to try again with another director in a couple of films. I am now motivated definitely to see. We have to talk about Kevin.
No, I'm not going to watch that.
I think I will.
Go ahead.
I'll
Be my
brave
guest.
it because I'm
I think
becoming.
that's harder because
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's yeah.
school shootings are
Yeah, not
but
fun.
then then she has a brand new film out which is supposedly a thriller comedy which just came out this summer.
Die My Love
Die My Lovely, which I have on my I've got a copy now and I'm going to watch it and but I haven't seen it yet. But I've watched. And then I took. What I love about doing this podcast, I got to rewatch these films for maybe the third time or fourth, or I don't know, over the many years. And then I got to watch. I decided to go back and watch the shorts she made before the features, like Gas Man and Small Deaths, and they're very cryptic, but they're like in this world of Ratcatcher.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Some of the same actors and all that.
Oh.
Anyway, so thanks for inviting me so I could talk about or watch the films and we'll talk about them. It's really cool.
It's great, and I'd love to do it again. I mean, it'd be great to cross. And if I can help at all in terms of figuring out your web situation. I tried before, and I was unable to transfer it to something else.
Yeah,
But
we can figure it out. But
yeah, it's a lot of files, man. It's a lot of hours of audio that you have because you have 16 years worth of interviews. But it could be done. I believe it could be done.
Yeah. Yeah, and then maybe next time you guys choose the films. Although I'm happy to do it. I'll go a little bit lighter, I promise.
Yeah, I want something a little up now. After I watched the two movies, I then watched.
I owe you Mel Brooks.
Yeah, I was ready to find something like Porky's 3 or something like that.
Yeah, right.
But that's a dark film.
That's true.
Makes Lynne Ramsay look like a hearty chef. Yeah. No, but I found Night Train to Lisbon with Jeremy Irons. It's basically just a romantic flick. It's perfect. It was the perfect palate cleanser. After the Ramsay Fest, it sort of put my head back in the. It got me above ground.
I'd still love to follow your lead, Adam. I mean, you've just watched so many movies that we would never have watched.
Yes.
And that's to have access to that is a real treat.
Okay.
Even if it's a downer, it's still a real treat to me.
Well, I know, but I can with that go intentionally a little less, intense. There's nothing wrong with that. There's still some, obviously many, countless great films that are or filmmakers that work a little less harsh. And there is that also the Joaquin Phoenix film, which I talk about with her. That was the podcast she was on was for that film.
It was right after
it was like You Were Never Here or something.
Yeah, You Were Never Really Here.
You Were Never Really Here. And that film, Lionel, I think you would enjoy. It has violence in it, and it's harsh at times, but it's going to feel more structurally and tone wise like a revenge thriller to you.
Well, it's more. Since you put it out there, let me confess something. I have detested every single film that Joaquin Phoenix is in that I've seen. Yeah, like Joker. Was he Joker?
Yes.
Yeah, he was Joker.
Horrible. I'm sorry. I really detest that film.
What about Her? Did you see Her?
No, I didn't. But I saw Napoleon.
That's really quite good.
Off too.
Oh well, I didn't see Napoleon, but let's open your. Just sort of like try to go see Her and this one. I would agree with Jim. I think Her is a wonderful film. I think it's beautiful.
I didn't like Adam Driver. I mean, and then I saw Patterson, and I was like, oh my goodness.
That's the
what a fantastic film. Yeah. Sometimes it's the director. I have to cut it off early. I'm cutting it off. I know we could continue talking and it's really fun, but I've got a hard stop. Adam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
I'd totally love to do this again. It would be great.
Anytime.
And it's Film Wax Radio.
Right. And we're on Instagram. It's everywhere. Just
everywhere you get your podcast.
Find stores everywhere. Right.
Google.
Funny Not Funny is produced by Jim Infantino at Slab Media in Boston. Jim Infantino and Lionel Casson are the co-hosts. Our website is funnynotfunny.net. The theme music is from the song Wheel from the album Utopia Revisited by Jim. The opinions presented by the co-hosts are ridiculous and should not be taken seriously by anyone. Our intended audience is literally nobody. If you're listening to this podcast, you should probably pause to reflect on other choices you've recently made. Please do not subscribe or leave a rating or review. It only encourages us to make more. Thanks for listening.
Where's that coming from?